You're stuck in a cycle of blowing accounts and revenge trades. It leaves you exhausted, staring at charts at 3 a.m. That desperate feeling isn't your fault. It's a missing method, a psychological gap. Million-dollar traders exploit this one quiet trick. It transforms chaos into consistent calm, without hype. Disclaimer: this is for educational purposes. Results aren't guaranteed. By the end, you'll know exactly what separates the wealthy few from the struggling many. It's not strategy, it's not capital, so what is it? You spent months backtesting, you bought the courses, you added 10 indicators, same painful losses. That hollow feeling after a win turns to a loss. It's not your fault. The real difference has nothing to do with screen time or secret signals. It's something you've never been taught: emotional detachment, psychological mastery. You know that moment when logic screams one thing but your gut screams another. That's where the battle is lost. Picture two traders. Same chart, identical strategy, exact same entry rules. The first jumps in with laser focus, yet his mind races with fear. The second hesitates, second-guessing every move, but his system is mathematically flawless. One ends green, the other red. Why? But here's the twist: the loser actually had the better strategy. Think about that for a moment. Here's why. Your brain is not designed for trading. It evolved to keep you safe on the savannah, not to navigate charts. When a trade moves against you, your amygdala fires up the fight-or-flight response. Your heart pounds. Your palms sweat. Suddenly, you're not analyzing probabilities. You're reacting to a threat that doesn't exist. This survival instinct makes you exit early, skip entries, or revenge trade. You freeze on the next setup. You exit a winner before it runs. You break your own rules. It's not weakness, it's biology. The same wiring that saved your ancestors from predators is now destroying your account. Stillness creates clarity. Clarity creates memory. Memory creates discipline. Without stillness, you're just a stimulus response machine. And the market exploits that repeat loop. You know exactly what I mean. Have you ever closed a winning trade too early out of fear? But fear isn't the only hijacker. There's an even deeper trap: the dopamine loop. Every time you win, your brain releases a hit of pleasure. That rush is exactly what keeps gamblers at the slot machine. The market rewards you randomly, just like a casino. One win, then a loss, then two wins. Your brain learns to chase the feeling, not the logic. You start overtrading. You ignore your rules. You need the next trade just to feel alive. This is why trading without psychology becomes an addiction. You're not trading anymore, you're scratching an itch. The chart becomes a casino, and you're the player convinced the next spin will change everything. But the market doesn't care about your excitement. It only rewards discipline. Trading without psychology is like driving a Ferrari with no brakes. You will crash eventually. But the million-dollar traders aren't simply fighting these urges. They've rewired their brain's response entirely. Neuroplasticity is real. Your brain can physically change. Through deliberate practice, they've trained themselves to stay still when you panic. They don't chase the dopamine. They don't flee the fear. They observe both from a place of detachment. It's not that they don't feel, they just don't act on it. This is psychological mastery. You've been programmed to react. They've programmed themselves to respond. That's not a gift, it's a skill, it's learnable. Once you make that single mental shift, the chaos stops. The charts look different, the fear dissolves. You trade with clarity, no second guessing. No emotional roller coaster. That shift changes everything. There's a specific mental shift they make, a single switch that separates their results from yours. I'll reveal it in part 4. Imagine sitting at your screen calm. The market moves, but you don't. You see the setup, you take the trade, you walk away calmly, you trust yourself. No pounding heart, no desperate hope, just quiet certainty. This is what becomes possible when you rewire your response. The million-dollar traders live in that state, and it's not reserved for a chosen few. It's a trained habit. They didn't start that way. They learn to quiet the storm inside. And you can too. But before you can step into that zone, you have to see the trap for what it is. You have to expose how your own mind has been sabotaging you, trade after trade. The very organ you rely on to make decisions is your biggest liability. But first, you need to understand why your brain is working against you. Your worst enemy isn't the market. It's the 3 pounds of tissue between your ears. You spend hours analyzing charts, mastering strategy, yet one bad trade erases weeks of progress. You blame luck, the algorithm, the Fed. But the real culprit, your brain's primitive wiring. Loss aversion dictates that losses hurt twice as much as gains feel good. When you lose, the pain echoes, pushing you to revenge trade or freeze. You take a painful loss. 2 weeks later, you make the exact same mistake. It's not your fault. It's the method your mind defaults to. Stillness creates clarity. Clarity creates memory. Memory creates discipline. But this single bias overrides everything you've built. And this single bias has destroyed more accounts than any market crash. Then there's confirmation bias. You see what you want to see on every chart. You cling to evidence that supports your trade, ignoring warning signs. The market shows you a pattern, and your brain twists reality to fit your hope. That's not analysis, it's self-deception. Recency bias traps you too. The last trade looms large, distorting your judgment. A recent win makes you reckless. A recent loss makes you timid. You're trading a memory, not the moment. This mental fog leads to repeated errors. You think you're learning, but you're just reinforcing bad wiring. Stillness creates clarity. Clarity creates memory. But what if that memory is flawed? What if everything you believe about a good trade is an illusion? Consider the sunk cost fallacy. You hold a losing trade, adding to it because you've already invested so much. You're not analyzing, you're justifying. The market doesn't care about your effort, it only cares about price. Each additional minute, each extra dollar traps you deeper. It's like throwing good money after bad, but in real time. Then, after a winning streak, overconfidence takes hold. You feel invincible, risking more, relaxing your rules. The streak ends, and you're blindsided by a loss that shouldn't have mattered. But it does, because your emotions took the driver's seat. Stillness abandons you. Your emotions are like a hijacker grabbing the wheel. Stress chemicals literally shrink your rational brain. Cortisol floods your system, narrowing your perceptual field. You focus on the threat, the red numbers, and lose sight of opportunity. Your prefrontal cortex, where logic lives, deactivates. You're stuck in fight or flight, making decisions a caveman would recognize. That's why you exit too early or hold too long. You're not thinking, you're reacting. The market doesn't reward reaction. It rewards calculated patience. But these biases run deep, etched by evolution. You can't just decide to be rational. Stillness feels impossible when your body is screaming danger. The good news: there's a way to disarm these biases completely. It begins with a shift. Not a new indicator or a complex strategy, but a psychological trick rooted in neuroscience. You must learn to observe your biases without engaging them. Imagine watching a storm from behind a window. You see the chaos, but you stay dry. That distance is the key. Stillness creates clarity. Clarity creates memory. Memory creates discipline. But discipline isn't built by fighting your impulses. It's built by understanding them. The method that follows will rewire your trading mind, turning emotional hijackers into quiet passengers. You'll see losses differently, and wins will compound without the crash. And it starts with one counterintuitive realization that I'll share next. Here it is, the trick million-dollar traders guard like a secret. It's not a setup, not an indicator. It's a shift in where you place your worth. They obsess over process, not outcome. Each trade becomes simply a decision made well or poorly, not a verdict. You lose, you don't lose yourself. You win, you don't get high. This detachment breaks the emotional cycle that keeps you repeating mistakes. Stillness creates clarity. Clarity creates memory. Memory creates discipline. But there's a deeper layer most people miss. The elite aren't just indifferent, they think in probabilities, like a poker player who knows the math. You don't need to win this hand. You need to make the right play over 10,000 hands. A single loss is just noise. They see each trade as one data point in a massive sample. This lets them execute without hesitation, without the weight of the moment. What if losing a trade could actually make you feel powerful? When you detach your identity from the result, you stop needing the win to feel whole. Your self-worth isn't on the chart. Each trade becomes pure feedback, nothing more. This is the expectancy mindset. You trust your edge over a series, so any one outcome is irrelevant. The casino doesn't sweat one bad hand. Neither do they. They know the math guarantees profit over time. That knowing eliminates fear, because fear is just the brain treating a single outcome like a survival threat. It eliminates greed too, because you're not chasing a feeling. You're just executing. No euphoria, no despair. Only a quiet, sharp focus that lets you see the chart for what it is. But knowing this trick isn't enough. You have to install it. You have to rewire the pathways that scream danger when a red candle closes. That's not done by reading about it. It's trained, like a muscle, through a specific kind of repetition. And in the next part, I'll show you how the wealthy actually train this mindset daily. The same exercise that rewired my own trading psychology after years of self-sabotage. This is where theory becomes transformation. You felt that frustration, taking a painful loss, only to repeat the same mistake days later. It's not lack of knowledge, it's a mind untrained. Million-dollar traders don't gamble on willpower. They drill daily journaling, reviewing every trade with surgical honesty. They dissect entry, exit, and emotion, not to punish themselves but to see the pattern. You do this, and the chaos starts making sense. Stillness creates clarity. Clarity creates memory. Memory creates discipline. But they journal one specific thing most traders ignore. They don't just log profit or loss. They track decision quality. Was your setup A-grade? Did you follow your plan? A profitable trade born from impulse is a future loss in disguise. You train yourself to value the process over the outcome. Then, before a single tick, they sit in stillness. Pre-market meditation isn't spiritual fluff, it's mental conditioning. You quiet the noise so you can hear the markets whisper. Stillness creates clarity. Clarity creates memory. Memory creates discipline. So, what do the best traders do in the 10 minutes before the market opens? They visualize. Not just the wins, they see the chop, the fake-out, the temptation to overtrade. They mentally rehearse sticking to rules, watching setups bypass them without flinching. Elite performers don't rely on reaction. They've already lived it. Then they build a fortress of predefined rules. Entry criteria, stop placement, risk per trade, it's all locked in. Emotion fades when every action is decided before the fight begins. They don't suppress feelings. They build a cage for their emotions before the chaos begins. Losing streaks hit everyone. The difference: they don't spiral. You take a loss and the amateur's brain screams, get it back. The pro sees a data point. They shrink risk, step away, and protect capital, always the person, then the trader. They review but don't ruminate. They understand that stillness creates clarity. Clarity creates memory. Memory creates discipline. You can learn this too. And there's one habit that ties all of this together, and it's surprisingly simple. It's a daily written commitment to yourself. Not a vague promise, a concrete non-negotiable contract for your next session. Write your rules, your emotional state, your exact plan. Read it aloud. This act closes the gap between knowing and doing. Your psychology shifts from reactive to intentional. So, I'm asking you now, Type trading in the comments as your commitment to master this. Like and subscribe to join a community that treats this as a discipline, not a lottery. And grab the 2 free gifts in the description: the 15-step pre-trade checklist and the risk management calculator. They'll protect your account and skyrocket your psychology. The cage is built. Step inside. Discipline isn't willpower. It's a system. You've been told to just be more disciplined, as if you could grit your teeth through chaos. That's why you take a painful loss, vow to change, and 2 weeks later make the exact same mistake. It's not your fault. It's the method. Real emotional control doesn't come from forcing calm. It comes from a repeatable framework that removes decision fatigue in the heat of the moment. A framework where each step anticipates your brain's sabotage. I'll walk you through it. And step 2 is where most traders break. Step 1, define your risk before every single trade. Not a range, not a gut feel. A precise dollar amount you will lose if the trade fails. Write it down. This number must be so small that losing it doesn't change your breathing. Step 2, accept the loss before you enter. Visualize the stop being hit, the money leaving your account, and you moving on without a second thought. This isn't pessimism. It's pre-resolving the emotional weight. What if you accepted you'd already lost the money before clicking buy? Step 3, detach from the screen after entry. Set your alerts, then step back. Staring at every tick feeds the urge to intervene. Stillness creates clarity. Clarity creates memory. Memory creates discipline. Step 4. Follow your exit plan no matter what. Not unless you feel it's turning, not just this once. The plan is the plan. A pilot doesn't panic in turbulence, they follow the checklist. Their survival depends on procedure, not emotion. Yours does too. That checklist strips away impulsive override. This framework eliminates emotional reactions not by suppressing them, but by making them irrelevant. When risk is defined, loss is accepted, and you're not hypnotized by the chart, the brain's fight or flight switch stays off. You stop revenge trading because the loss was already priced into your psyche. You stop moving stops because the exit plan feels more real than the fear. Discipline becomes a byproduct, not a battle. But there's a hidden trap even disciplined traders fall into. A subtle one that mimics discipline while quietly draining your edge. It's the trap of mechanical compliance without self-awareness. You follow every step, yet a creeping numbness sets in. You start executing rules with a flat, detached routine, missing the early signals of burnout or overconfidence. Real discipline requires checking in. Am I too tilted to trade? Is my risk honestly fine? Without that, the framework becomes a cage you sleepwalk through. The next mistake will show you why even good systems fail without consciousness. And avoiding it could save your entire account. You can master every technical pattern, every chart setup, every lesson I've shared, and still blow up your entire account in a single afternoon. Why? Because the market doesn't just exploit your technical mistakes. It stalks your emotional ones. The fatal flaw isn't a bad strategy. It's the dangerous overconfidence that creeps in right after a big win. Think about it. You hit a perfect trade, the profit flashes green, and suddenly you feel untouchable. You feel like you've finally cracked the code. That feeling is a liar. It's the success that destroys people, not the failure. Failure makes you cautious, analytical, smaller. But success makes you feel bulletproof. Your psychology softens, your size inflates, and you start believing you're smarter than the market that just paid you. You're not smarter. You were simply disciplined, and you're one trade away from abandoning that discipline because you feel like a genius. That's the start of the avalanche. You take the winning streak and you lean in harder than you ever should. You double your position size because why not ride the momentum? But you're not riding momentum, you're riding ego, straight into oversized risk. The market doesn't care that you've won 3 times in a row. It will snap back, and when it does, It will take back all of your profits plus all of your capital because you bet too big. The streak didn't ruin you. The emotional overconfidence did. And then the flip side hits. Maybe you took that large, overconfident loss. The hammer drops, your heart sinks, and a frantic energy takes over. You need to fix it right now. You scramble for the next trade, clicking the button not to find a high-probability setup, but to undo the pain. Have you ever doubled down to win it back? That's the trap. That is revenge trading, the desperate act of forcing a trade to repair your ego, not your equity. You're no longer analyzing price action. You are trying to punch the market back because it hurt you. The market is an ocean. You cannot punch the tide. All you do is drown faster, taking trades that don't align with your rules but align perfectly with your anger. You're trading to feel a rush, a relief, an adrenaline spike, anything but the robotic calm of pure execution. Trading to feel emotions is the fastest way to the zero balance. A roller coaster might feel exciting, but you don't want excitement on your way to the bottom of a cliff. Boring trading is rich trading. Exciting trading is broke trading. Consistency is the absence of drama. If there's a fire in your chest, don't touch the mouse. You can spot the warning signs immediately if you know where to look. The first sign is a sudden urge to calculate how much money you could have made. If you entered earlier, that's fantasy, not trading. The second sign is physically leaning into the screen after a win, breathing heavier, feeling invincible. The third is opening a chart immediately after a loss with no plan, just looking for redemption. The moment you feel that want overtaking your system, you are compromised. Stillness creates clarity. Clarity creates memory. There's a simple rule that prevents this completely. It isn't a complex formula. It's a hard psychological leash that doesn't allow your ego to hijack your account. It stops the revenge trade dead in its tracks and caps the euphoria that leads to oversized bets. You've spent years chasing goals, a certain profit target, a win streak, a perfect month. But goals don't change who you are when the market rips your plan apart. Goals are fleeting. Identity is permanent. This is how you become the trader you envy, not by copying their trades, but by borrowing their self-image. Stillness creates clarity. Clarity creates memory. Memory creates discipline. You're not rebuilding your strategy. You're rebuilding you. Don't try to make money. Try to become someone who can't help but make money. That's the shift. A professional trader doesn't fight for every tick. They execute a process that makes winning inevitable. Start by scripting your non-negotiable rules like a vow. I never move my stop loss. I never trade outside my session. I never chase. These aren't restrictions. They're the spine of your new identity. Rituals anchor it. Each morning you greet the charts with the same calm, the same review, the same breath. You're practicing becoming the trader who doesn't flinch. Who would you be if losing a trade meant nothing to you? That question isn't hypothetical, it's diagnostic. The answer reveals the identity you must install. Now, design your environment to protect that person. Remove every temptation and distraction. Your phone is a noise machine. It goes silent. Your news feed is a panic engine. It goes dark. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems. So build systems that reward the professional self. Surround yourself with influences that reflect your future, not your fear. Unfollow the screamers, the hype artists, the chat rooms that celebrate revenge trading. Immersion is installation. Day by day, your surroundings silently confirm who you're becoming. Small daily wins compound into mastery, not because they're dramatic, but because they're consistent. Each session you follow your rules is a deposit into your identity account. You're not expecting a miracle trade. You're expecting yourself to show up. Stillness creates clarity. Clarity creates memory. Memory creates discipline. The money is a byproduct of the discipline, never the goal. You've stopped measuring success in dollars. You measure it in moments of alignment between your plan and your action. That's the trader you envy. They're not emotionally numb, they're emotionally congruent. And that congruence is built one choice at a time. But how long does this transformation actually take? We crave a timeline, 6 weeks, 6 months, 1,000 hours. Realistically, the breakthrough happens when you stop counting. For some, the shift is abrupt. For most, it's a gradual undoing of old patterns. The identity doesn't arrive with a notification. One morning, you simply notice the trade that used to wreck you now feels like passing weather. The answer might surprise you, and it's in the next section. Here's your exact roadmap for the next 30 days. No fluff, no theory, just a psychological rebuild. You've been trying to fix your trading with indicators and strategies, but the real upgrade happens between your ears. This plan will change how you see the market and yourself. Week 1 is pure awareness. You don't change anything yet, you just watch. Every trade you take, you journal the emotion behind it. Were you anxious? Greedy? Did you chase? Write down the physical feeling in your body when you click the button. Most traders skip this because it's uncomfortable. That's exactly why you must do it. You're not judging yet. You're gathering data on the stranger operating your account. By day 7, you'll see patterns that shock you. You'll notice you always revenge trade after a loss on a specific currency pair. You'll see fear appears precisely when price hits a certain level. That's the first victory. The act of observing starts to loosen the grip these reactions have on you. The market doesn't reward the smartest. It rewards the most psychologically disciplined. You felt this when a loss stings because you deviated from your plan. But it's not your fault. The method must account for psychology. The core trick is thinking in probabilities, detaching from outcomes. Each trade is one event in a long series. Stillness creates clarity. Clarity creates memory. Memory creates discipline. You're not chasing wins. You're executing a system. When you detach, fear and greed lose power. Remember, your strategy is only as strong as the mind running it. Without mental resilience, the best setup crumbles. This is your chance to rewrite that narrative starting now. Embrace the process fully. You're transforming from a reactive trader to a disciplined strategist. This requires daily commitment. But disclaimer, results aren't guaranteed. This is educational only. Trading involves risk. Your progress depends on application. Now ask yourself, will you be the trader who repeats mistakes driven by impulse? Or will you master your mind to see the market clearly? The choice defines your future. Old patterns don't have to control you. Each session builds a new response, rooted in stillness. The old you might overtrade, the new you breathes and assesses risk first. This shift doesn't happen overnight, but it's inevitable with practice. Start today. Begin the 30-day mental training plan from this series. Each morning, visualize your protocols. Each trade, log your emotional state. Each evening, review with detached curiosity. This consistent practice rewires your brain for elite performance. The only difference between you and a 7-figure trader is the mindset you choose to build. They face the same charts, the same uncertainty, but they've trained to act from discipline, not desire. You can do the same starting with this very next candle. Don't wait for perfection. Imperfect action repeated daily creates unshakable skill. Your future self will thank you. Patience is your greatest ally. Consistency is your armor against market chaos. Don't expect instant mastery. It's a fantasy. Instead, fall in love with the boring process of execution. Each time you follow your plan, you strengthen your trading character. This is the final push. See yourself as an athlete of the mind, not a gambler. You control your reactions, your focus, your breath. That internal control is where true wealth begins. The market can take profits, but not a trained mind. Keep showing up, especially when it's hard because that's where growth lives. This resilience compounds, building a fortress of calm within you. Now take definitive action. Like this video, subscribe and comment "trading" below. That word is your public commitment to this psychological transformation. The community will hold you accountable. Also, check the description for 2 free gifts. The 15-step checklist to use before every trade. It ensures you never enter a trade unprepared. And a risk management calculator to never risk too much again. These tools will skyrocket your trading psychology, protect your capital, and accelerate your journey to elite status. Remember, the market rewards the disciplined mind. Stay present, stay patient. But first, we must address the one thing holding you back. See you in the next video.